CAF TV back for another week. I've got a guest in the studio this week, Alex Bastiavansky, joined by CAF Director Phil Iannati. We're doing some reminiscing actually off camera. We're going to do a bit of that today, but welcome to the studio.
Thanks, good to be back.
The man may have pulled a hamstring this weekend. He played at the Robbie tournament. It was the charity event hosted by Dwayne De Rosario and friends. Still in game shape, are you?
No, not really.
Not really?
I'm happy.
You're a
I'm
little
still
painful
walking
today?
Yeah, but it was a great event. Dwayne.
Some big names.
Yeah, you got Paul Stelteri, you got Dwayne De Rosario, you got Craig Forrest, all Premiership players, you know, that played high level. Jim Brennan, Rick Titus was there. It was just great atmosphere. Good to be around those guys. I haven't seen some of them in a long time, so bringing those guys together was just an exciting time, and hope to spend more time to them. And it was a great time.
It's actually, we're going to have a lot of fun today because we're going to go over all of them. We figured, last week was Canada Day, so there were no games throughout the league. So we're going to sort of reflect on through 6-7 weeks now of play, what's happened so far. And we've also got a fantastic guest. This is a big guest, Hannibal Najjar, who's the former coach and technical director for the Trinidad and Tobago national team. Going to join us here in the studio. We're going to talk, about how him and Phil know each other going way back, and also just maybe a little bit of analysis about, in light of Euro and some of the smaller countries, Iceland being first and foremost, but we talked Wales, we've talked Ireland, Northern Ireland, countries that are able to advance and stuff, and how, what we can do as, Canada as a soccer country to advance to that next level. Anyway, lots of stuff to talk about. CAF, we're, 7 weeks in now to the season of play, and you happy with the way things are going so far?
Yeah, it's been a great season. The feedback from our members is very positive. We have some new academies that join us and part of the program, and super group for them is something that they've never seen before, where the players are walking in the stadium, coming out. You're there every week, you see it.
They love it.
The competition, especially in the top 4 or 5 teams, is some very tight games, and it's been great so far. The young ones, it's always good to see the young ones playing. We're 2,000-3,000 people at our fields.
And 1647, yeah, of course.
Yeah, and having obviously talking about Dwayne De Rosario, Dero United joining us. It was exciting when his father, Mr. Tony De Rosario, that everyone knows. He's there every weekend watching the kids, and it brings back memories, and he's loving it. And he says, "Phil, this is amazing. This is what it's all about. It's all football people." When you come to the field, guys that used to play together, now talking. At one point, I'm watching I think a U11 game, and on my left side is Dwayne De Rosario, and the right is Rick Titus, and in the middle is Johnny Williams coaching. These are legends. These are guys that came from the game, and to be all together at one facility, inspiring these young you is just a great atmosphere.
It's a total inspiration. We are going to have Dwayne on in a couple of weeks in the studio to talk more about his program. You launched the 3v3 girls, which you're really excited about. Talk about that.
Yeah, there's a big demand for girls, right? So, we launched it, a few weeks back, where we want to get the girls going. And I think talking to the members, the best way to do it was to, start small, 3v3, and get a lot of touches on the ball, get some development. So we're starting with the youth. We have one division of U15 girls, but the young ones, we're starting this program to have progression over the next 2-3 years.
Right.
So we're excited at that. The parents love it. The young girls love it. So it's a success already, and we're looking forward, because we actually have the Leica 3v3 Cup coming up in August.
Last year's was so much fun.
You have 60,
and a
70
trip to the
teams.
Disney tournament at the end of that. Yep.
Connected to the Disney tournament, so we have one the long weekend of August, another one the long weekend of September on the Monday. If you want to check that out, it's on, I think, leicacup.ca, and you get all the information there. So it's exciting because the girls are getting involved, the boys are getting involved, and last year we had a girls team that went down to Disney and lost in the finals, which was exciting for them, and we're really excited about the partnerships that we're doing with Disney and Next Gen.
Let's talk about Next Gen. We've got about a minute and a half in this segment. Next Gen is something that CAF has been really excited about. We had Brett Mosen in the studio last week to talk about it. The Next Gen camp just happened this past week in Oakville. Talk about the association with Next Gen.
Yeah, you know what? It's ongoing. So the first 2 camps that we had were ID camps of bringing players in to be identified, which we actually had players already go to Belgium that being identified are going to Argentina. It's exciting for our young kids that have that opportunity. They're being seen by now international coaches. This week's camp, exciting. I was there early Monday morning seeing it. It's getting set up. People are embracing it. Over 40 plus kids there, and it's first time around. It's great. You have Jeff Bookman, who's a former Chelsea director, coaching development, and he's there. He's excited. He's pumped at what's happening in Canada and just bringing North America together.
Coaches from all over the world representing different styles as well, which is very cool, isn't it? We're almost out of time, but yeah, the Next Gen camp that you ran in April and May was a huge success. Over 200 kids that were there. So anyway, lots more exciting stuff to talk about. We're going to talk about more CAF happening so far this year, and get to our guests after that. More CAF TV coming up in just a second. Welcome back to CAF TV. Alex Bastiavansky joined in the studio by CAF Director Phil Ionati. We're just doing a general review of so far how the season has gone this year. New academies. There's quite a few this year. Obviously, with 2 new groups this year, 2 new super groups, an under 16 group and the open group. It's been very exciting, and I know you're excited about a lot of the new academies that are in this year. Yeah,
of course. You love to bring high-level teams and good coaches. We're really excited that some of the teams that you see battling at the top. Obviously, Epic is always one of the top teams that are battling out there. To bring in now a London group that brings some quality players, and Future, another group out of Vaughan. Mississauga is one other group there. So every game now, and especially when you start getting the top 5 teams, are very close, and that's what you want. You want that competition, and that's what the super group is about. How we, push the players to be, getting better. It's development at the end of the day, and that comes from high competition.
Yep.
And that's what we're trying to build on in 2-3 years. And this is actually the second year of the super group. The competition keeps getting better and better, and that's what we're excited about, Alex. And I think next year is just going to get better. I'm really excited about what the people are talking out there, how they want to be part of this, and because it's a great program. It's a great program for developing players, and given that guidance of, hey, can we work with professional teams or scholarship? That's the end goal, right? So very happy with everything so far.
Yeah, the open group, which you were really excited about launching, obviously an adult group. Are you satisfied with the way things are going at that? The level of competition has been unreal so far. Atomic, unfortunately, the only team yet to secure a point. Otherwise, even them, they've been in absolutely every game they've played so far. A lot of 1-goal losses. Overall, top to bottom, has been very competitive so far.
Exactly what we talked about at the beginning, pyramid of play. Now we have the base with the young kids that are playing at that one facility. Where you go to the super group, when you go there, is to the open age, which is fantastic. Having Toronto, Croatia there, what a success story. Obviously talking about what's coming on to them this coming year. But the games are tight. You got Supernova keeping it close against Toronto, Croatia. You got Brampton
Epic
City
coming into their own with a bunch of young kids, coached by Ricky Titus as well.
And when you have Rick Titus on your side, that's it's going to be a tough game. That man's always disciplined, fit, committed. Those are the kind of people that we want part of our organization that will eventually make our program stronger. Again, it's the full pyramid, and now Epic has that whole pyramid of play.
All the way up to the top. Now, the under 14 group has been fascinating to watch. Of course, you expected Epic to be up there at the top as they are, but they've actually, they're on top because they played one more game than. I'll tell you, the ADP under 14s might be even more impressive so far. That team, Sean Omrani's team, has been absolutely incredible so far. Yet to lose a game, yet to concede a single goal so far.
You know what? Class act. That's all I can say. Sean is fantastic. He leads his group, fantastically throughout, everything that he does, from preparation to organization to even on the field. Watching him sit back, and I'm watching him as a coach.
Former high-level player himself, he knows what he's doing.
He comes from the game, but it's all the small details, Alex. It's encouragement of the players, and that's the success they're having. I watched them even participate in the Ontario Cup. Here's a team now that's gone through, beat some really tough competition.
Absolutely,
just lost in the finals of the of the Robbie tournament. So they're a team that that's given competition to a lot of our members, and now they're one of the teams to watch. Actually, I think they'll be right there battling it out, and great success story for us this past year.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. As his son, the tiny assassin, as I like to call him, Cheyenne Omrani, has been just a lot of fun to watch this year. Going back for a second to the open group, talking about Toronto, Croatia, very special coming up, and I've got the date written down here. It is August. I'll have to find it in just a second here. The 40th anniversary of them winning the soccer ball. It's the TFC Heritage Series. I believe it's August 28th at BMO Field, and I'm going to correct myself on with the name key on the bottom if I'm wrong, but so take a look for that. But the Heritage Series that TFC is doing this year, honoring Metros Croatia 1976 Soccer Bowl victory. It's going to be at BMO Field. It's going to be incredible.
Listen, at the end of the day, hats off go to Toronto FC for respecting the history of the game in Canada. You know, this is culture. This is Toronto Metros Croatia who did something that not many people are able to do. You know, put an organization together, going out and bringing players in like Eusebio. And then you got quality players that are from here. You know, Babarushi, Marc Antonio. So just a great success story for them, and look forward to that event and TFC recognizing Metros Croatia for a championship that they brought to Canada. Really excited about that, and all its members should be proud. I think it'll be a great day for all our CAF members as well, who will be coming out and supporting the event.
It's another CAF day there, basically, and of course we've had two so far this year. And I know we go back to it, but it really is such a thrill for these kids when you see them there helping out, being the flag bearers, the ball boys, all that stuff. They just have a blast, don't they?
Yeah, it's a great time for them, and look forward to just continue that partnership with Toronto FC as well.
Yeah. So what else do you want to touch on before we get to the guest in the next segment then regarding CAF and I mean, I know there's the 4v4 the Leica group. When is that actually happening? The
Leica 3v3 is happening
3v3
on the long weekend of August, Monday. I think the same thing goes in September long weekend. So those are two events that we're pretty excited about. We were successful last year.
We got to go to commercial. We're going to talk about it a lot more in the coming days. More CAF TV coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to CAF TV. It's getting more crowded here in the studio as I'm still joined by Phil Ionati, the CAF director, and a special guest. We've got Hannibal Najjar joining us in the studio, who's got, I can't even get into starting to list his resume. It's too long. We've got some really interesting things to talk about, though. Let's start off with, first of all, welcome to the studio.
Thank you very much.
And joining us, we're looking forward to picking your mind here with your expertise. How do you two know each other? Because you go way back.
Well, I just got back from Europe. I was there for, I guess, a year playing in Italy, and when I got back, a friend of mine asked me to come, I guess, for trials with the
You're how old at this time?
I was 16.
16?
Turning 17, and went out to Lamport Stadium, where always they host
the old turf.
Yeah, it's the old turf. So, and the first time I met Hannibal was there, and he was the coach for the Canada Games U20 team, and the first time I met him, there was a sense of energy, and he told me exactly what I needed to do to make the squad. And from that moment on, we just inseparable. He ended up going after his coaching here in Ontario, became the technical director and head coach of Belhaven now University at that point.
Before we get into that, I want to know, what did you think of a young Phil Ionati? What was he like at 16 years old?
He had the message. He had what I needed, and that's what I said to him at the time. Called him in and clearly indicated to him that he had what I thought would be necessary. 16 for U20 team.
Right.
It means he's got it. You like that. But he had to do a couple of things, and I addressed it to him, and he adjusted, and he made the team. Yes.
Yeah. And so you're now based out of the States. You're living in St. Louis. Before this, though, we should mention one of the most fascinating things is you were the technical director and head coach for the Trinidad and Tobago national team.
That's
in
correct.
2002 and 2003. You were one of the people who were instrumental in putting together the team for the only time that Trinidad's ever qualified for the World Cup.
Yes.
Yeah, and I guess let's just generally talk about the experience and what that was like.
Well, that really is a memory of mine that is very enjoyable, but at the same time very sad, because I had ambitions for it by being there myself longer than it was. Mm-hmm. The reasons for it coming to an end, we leave that for another time.
Right.
But the beauty about it all is that encouraged me to go back and undertake it with my family living in the States, and me, moving back and forth, but really spending a lot of time down there, was because I thought everything is possible within Trinidad, because I know the ability. I was born and raised there. I played there. In the 80s, I was part of a phenomenal group of young players that made it to make that team eventually. The Dwight Yorks and the Hislops, and you go on and talk, people who went off to England, and you had 4 years with them. You can see what you could develop from young, which is something that I think Canada needs to do a little bit more. We'll talk about that.
We will get that, yeah.
But what I really was happy about was, as small as Trinidad was, I heard you talking earlier about the smaller countries, that is what I thought could make the difference. You have access to everybody, as much as you want, little interference in terms of distances and
so
accessibility.
you're saying it can almost be a benefit sometimes
An
to have
absolute
that
benefit.
smaller,
You have them as much. One of the problems here, when I was here, was they asked you questions, what do we do with the kids out in BC, in Nova Scotia, in Quebec, in this, There's a real problem.
Right.
So now you have to have a team with you on board doing some of the things.
Right.
To make that, so small is big.
Right.
Little is much, in a lot of ways. And that's one of the most interesting things that I was sure about that I would achieve. It came to life.
And we're going to talk about all kinds of stuff when it comes to the smaller countries and what they can do, and very interesting run obviously by Iceland, who was I think everyone's second team. If it wasn't their first team at the tournament, they were the ultimate underdogs. What are you doing back in Canada now? Are you actually working in Canada right now for a bit? Are you just back visiting right now?
A couple of things. I am here on a social. I have a wedding I was attending, but at the same time I have 2 young men, Canadians with West Indian roots from Trinidad, but born and raised here, that I am individually coaching. One I just had go back to Trinidad. He made the under-20 national team for Trinidad from Durham. And the other boy was from Durham too, but he is now in Slovenia. So it's a personal self-development aspect that my coaching has taken to right now, where I do individual online coaching, where we meet from time to time face-to-face, but we also go through the rigors of me giving them assignments and the developing a sense of commitment to do what we give them. So you have to have a buy-in in the beginning.
Right. We've only got about 40 seconds left, but you're trying to get him on board with CAF to play a bigger role.
Well, that's the thing that he doesn't know yet. That's always been part of the, the master plan. When you have mentors in your life, and that's what Hannibal is to me. That's what we want to build in CAF. We talked about many times about having mentorship for these young players. Who better than Hannibal to come on board? You ask Rick Titus about Hannibal, he'll tell you exactly what he feels.
You coached Ricky Titus as well.
Rick Titus,
Yeah.
Dwayne De Rosario. This man coached all the top players. So Dwayne York.
Hold it.
Yeah.
We got the break. We're definitely going to get back to the list of players at one time. More CAF TV coming up in just a moment. Welcome back to CAF TV. Joined in the studio still by Phil Ionati, the director of CAF, and Hannibal Najjar, a coach. Well, he's coached in the States. He's coached extensively in Canada, and he was also the head coach of the Trinidad and Tobago national team. But one time he was Phil Ionati's coach back here when you were 16 years old and older through university. And there's a pretty good list of names of guys he also coached. And you were mentioning it just before he went to break. Give us a few more.
Before you cut me off.
Before I cut him off so rudely. Yeah, commercial time.
Yeah,
Gotta do it.
Hannibal had Dwayne De Rosario when he was 14 years old. Had Rick Titus as well. Brought Rick into the Trinidad national team actually. So we actually saw Rick this past week
at the Robbie. Yeah.
And you just when you see 2 people come together with that kind of passion, words can't even express the relationship and connection, and that's what Hannibal brings. He brought that to everywhere, from the Canada Games team to to the university, to the Jackson Charger USISL when we played in the States. Every player respected him, loved him, and they found a reason to fight for him, and that's so important. And that's what we keep talking about coaching. That's what this man brings, and I hope, and I'll say it right here, I hope to bring him, into CAF, in the future, and be part of what we're doing, because when we're talking about development and player development, coaching development, there's in my mind, not too many people that can do what he can do, and deliver the message and motivate people, and in every sense of the game and life and spiritual and everything that you do. So we're very excited to have him here with us and look forward to hopefully a bright future.
I know he's chomping at the bit. We've got less than 4 minutes left to talk about Euro, because we wanted to talk about the smaller countries in Euro and parallels maybe with Trinidad being a smaller country and being able to qualify for the World Cup. But I mean, obviously you look at Iceland, you look at Wales. Northern Ireland, even, you know, my Hungarians as well, doing well to make it to the second round. My dad was through the roof about that. But these smaller countries doing well, what as Canadians, a country of 35 million people now, this vast land, but we've got the resources in place to do it. What are we doing wrong that these smaller countries can have these kind of results, but we don't seem to have them?
Size is a problem, because if you're looking to incorporate everybody from across the land, which you want to do, from coast to coast, top to bottom, to see what you really have. What I had easy for me when I went back to Trinidad, no hesitation, was it's 60 miles from top to bottom, 40 miles left to right. We have 2,000 square miles between Trinidad and Tobago. Dwight York came from Tobago. He is Dwight York that went Man United. Spent 4 years with me. What made that possible for him to be what he has become, and pushes me as a coach to be better because of the abilities I see within the player, is to go back home as a teacher and study how do I get this person to be the best student that he could be. It gives me homework. It's not only him doing what I say, but I going back to assess what needs to be done to be able to get the best of. And that's what good coaches do.
Right.
What it is Iceland has done, and what it is anybody who has done well for countries that are small and seemingly have a pool. I mean, the US has a pool of 40 million soccer players. A pool. Canada is 35 million in total population.
1 million registered players, I believe we're at now as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Trinidad, you push it down, you push Iceland, 350,000 roughly or less. What is their pool? So how it is you can get that. That is the spirit of the coach transferring itself in the player, and the younger ones, through the parents, there'll be buy-in that when they go back home, you have a partner in the parents. And that's what Canada has to do in the provinces. And the head coach of Trinidad, of Canada, needs to understand it is important that we tap in on everybody and do something to the effect that that commitment that you get from the person in each province webs out to get as much as they could eventually to get.
To be all-encompassing, yeah.
And then we collectively, those coaches with the head coach, come in and we talk about it. And then we have training where you could do further assessment to get it down to a 60. I believe in the 60, and then you bring it down as you get closer to what you're training for.
Less than a minute. You want to chime in?
You know what? It's been many years over the past, I guess, since we were young, that they had a system in place from the provincial program to the national. It's changed a little bit right now, and we talk about a country like Iceland, 300,000 people. What did they do? And I think it's understanding one philosophy. It comes from the top to the bottom. Does everyone understand the same philosophy from the leadership? And that comes from the top, like Coach mentioned, from the national coach right down to the provinces. Everyone following that same philosophy, so you can have each player understanding what they need to do to prepare themselves for that, that team.
Yep.
And that's critical. And I think that's what happened with Iceland. You have a coach who tells everyone around, this is what we're playing, and everyone followed it. That's the system. Hopefully, over time, we can build in that connection.
And that's what we're all working towards. We could talk about this all day, and we shall after we get off, but we're all out of time. Thanks so much for being here, and thank you for joining us in the studio. We really appreciate it, guys.
It's a pleasure to be back home in many ways.
Yeah.
And yes, there is a bright future, and that needs to be harnessed through what Phil is trying to get done.
Well, guys, thanks for joining me.
Thanks, Alex.
Okay, and we're done for this week. More CAF TV coming up next week. Enjoy the games this weekend, folks. Take care.